guys, and welcome back to my shelf. So today I decided to do a June wrap up, as it is the end of June and I still haven't wrapped up my books this month. These are all of the books that I managed to read in June. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But Leah isn't here because someone's borrowing it, so I'm just going to kind of talk about Leah in between these two books. That's why it seems like there's not more than there is, if that makes sense. I managed to get through 8 books this month, and I will get to the details in a second. I hosted a 24-hour readathon in June, which is why this pile is probably so large, but I managed to read 3 books before the readathon, I think, and I managed to read 5 books in the readathon. There's a vlog somewhere you can go, it's in the link in the description box below, you can go and watch that on my channel. But without further ado, here are all the books that I read in June. The first book that I managed to read in June is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. The book is about a girl called Lena who has to go to Tuscany in Italy to stay with her father because her mother dies of, I think it's stomach cancer, but she passes away from cancer and she goes and stays with her dad and his assistant, I think. When she's in Italy, her dad's assistant gives her her mum's diary from when she was in Italy at her age before she got pregnant. Lena basically just reads through the diary to see what her mum's life was like before she had Lena. It's almost like we're getting 2 stories in one. It's really, really cute and just, I love it so much. This book was fun and flirty and it was so funny. It had me laughing, it had me crying, it had me rolling my eyes. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads for many reasons, which are the following. It sounded a lot like a Wattpad book, he said, she said kind of thing. It honestly built up like a Wattpad book. It also had a huge build up because for the first 100 pages I wasn't really into it, but like as the story went on I got more and more into it, but those first 100 pages really dragged for me. All in all though, I fell in love with all of the characters and this book was just really fantastic and a great summer read, which is why I decided to read it in June. The next book that I read in June is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, another summer read. So this is about Natasha, who is carrying a big secret. She is being deported that day. Natasha is a girl who believes in facts, not fiction. She's very scientific, whereas on the other side of the spectrum, Daniel believes in fate and love and spirituality, and they meet in a meet cute moment. In one day they managed to kind of build this connection that made me fucking cry. And then we have the universe as like a third point of view in the story, which is a really good element and unique element to the story. We have the universe, which is telling us all about the past of certain words such as fate and love, and the past of some characters that we normally wouldn't get to see otherwise. This was a really good book and I cried like a baby. It shows you how love doesn't always work and how you have to work at it, and love is an everyday choice when you're in a relationship. Obviously sexuality and who you fall for isn't a choice, but staying with that person, being loyal and pursuing that relationship is a really big choice to make over and over again for someone that you care for. The only thing wrong with this book, I would say, is the fact that Daniel is very persistent and he can't take no for an answer, and it made me kind of uncomfortable at times. Very persistent, but then again Natasha actually did want him, so I guess it's not that bad. Another reason why I found this book a little bit was because, that's the only way I can describe it, was because of its insta love. This book is set over one day and the characters fall in love with each other, and it's just a trope that I found in this book that really wasn't needed, and I think it would have been a much higher rating if it didn't have that. Because of all of these things that I loved and didn't quite like so much, I gave this book a 4 stars, and again it's a great summer read. I would very recommend if you're a seasonal reader. The next book that I read is Leah on the Offbeat. I have a post-it note here that says don't forget Leah. The next book that I read in June was Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli, which is the sequel to Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda. Obviously I can't really describe what this book is about without giving spoilers for Love, Simon, but I have decided to just kind of go a roundabout way. But basically Leah on the Offbeat is all about Leah, who is a plus size girl who loves drumming and drawing, but she's very insecure. She has anxiety and panic issues and has a huge secret. She is bisexual. Simon, as we know, even before going into Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, is a gay character. He believes his friends are all straight, basically. Obviously he has his ordeal in Simon vs. and Leah has her ordeals with sexuality in this book as well. I think it was really important and really nice of Becky Albertalli to write a gay novel and then write a lesbian one, because lesbian rep is so needed in the community, because the tropes of a lesbian are like, home wreckers or like doing it for sexual fantasies, and I just feel like, I know that Leah's bi and not a lesbian, but it still counts, alright? Female on female romance does not get enough positive representation or realistic representation at that. We just really needed it and I really liked it. Leah's point of view did get on my nerves quite a lot because she's so cryptic and she's so just Sometimes you just want to be like, oh, fucking come on, stop complaining already. But Leah, I actually related to more than I thought I would. And I got that feeling, you know, that when you like fancy a girl, I got it in my chest. I could feel Leah's emotions, and it was so perfectly done. And I loved this book so much. I gave it somewhere between a 3.75 and a 4 stars, and I would definitely recommend it as a summer read or anything like that. So now we're coming into readathon territory. I read 5 books in my mid-year freakout readathon. Again, you can go and see the vlog, it's in the description box below. The first book I managed to read in the readathon was Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is basically about Justice, or Just, who is a student at a school, and he's the top of his class, and he gets arrested for something that he didn't do, or that a white police officer thinks that he did but he didn't. This kind of generates a lot of questions in Just's mind, and he decides to study Martin Luther King studies and apply it to contemporary society and how our society now treats black people or people of colour, and if it's changed since Martin Luther King has been around. This was so fucking interesting because it's A Little Brother to Thug by Angie Thomas. I'm going to be honest, if you like Thug, you'll love this. The only few problems I found with it was because it was too small. I felt dissatisfied when I finished the book. I felt like this character stories wasn't over yet, and that's like the worst thing you can have when exiting a book. The fact that the writing style kept changing. For some people it would be great and like refreshing, but to me it was kind of confusing. For example, at like the beginning of the chapter it might have been like a proper novel layout, and then another chapter it might have been script, or like certain aspects of a chapter will be like in script form. I just kind of found it a bit confusing. Like, I don't know, I just found it a little bit like stick to one thing, you know what I mean? Like, script writing isn't a problem for me, I can read it, but like if you're gonna do a book and you're switching between them, it gets a little bit confusing. That's why I gave it a solid 3 stars on Goodreads, but I did enjoy this. It's very important subject matter, also a trigger for police brutality and all that stuff, as it is a harsh subject that needs to be talked about. Dear Martin in my readathon ticked off a new release challenge, and the next book ticks off an LGBTQ+ challenge, and that is Boy Meets Boy by David Letherton. This book is about Paul, who has been openly gay all of his life. He meets a boy named Noah, and he changes everything for him. But in the back of his mind, he has Kyle, his ex-boyfriend, who cannot leave his mind. And he's going through some childhood tribulation with his friends, with his partners, whether he wants to get back with Kyle or he wants to pursue something new with Noah. It's all up in the air for Paul, and he's just a very confused little gay teenager. I didn't really like this book that much. I gave it a 3, which is very generous. I feel like he took a straight novel and turned it gay by making the 2 characters boys, or the 3 characters boys, and it was just a love triangle that I didn't need. The next book completes 1 challenge as well, and it is a book that I've wanted to read for a long time, and that is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zapier. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and it was clearly my favourite out of the readathon. This is about a girl called Eliza who has a comic, like a web comic, under the alias of Ladies Constellation. She posts once a week, I think it is, and she has a huge fan base. She loves scrolling through, watching the content blow up, like fan art and stuff and fan fiction, until she meets Wallace, who is a fanfic writer for her webcomic. Oh my god, this was so fucking good. It deals with anxiety as well, and I didn't actually know that. There's a content warning for suicide and anxiety and suicidal thoughts, but I didn't really get triggered by it, so it probably isn't that big. Just because I didn't get triggered doesn't mean that you aren't, so very big content warning for that. The next book that I managed to read in June was from the challenge, a book from a genre that I would never normally read from, and for this I got Wings by April M. Pike. This is about a girl called Laurel who sprouts literal flowers from her back. She's always lived an ordinary life as an ordinary girl, doing her thing, living her life, and all of a sudden she's sprouting these flowers out of her back. She has no idea where they're from, what they're doing, what that means for her, until she finds out that she may be a fairy. It was really cute. It was so fucking cute. It's middle grade, and I'm not obviously in that target audience anymore, but I swear to god, if I was in that target audience, I would have fucking loved this book. It is very cheesy, and it took me ages to read for some reason. It's really small. One of the things I found wrong with this is when Laurel is like discovering herself, discovering her family background, what's happened to her, etc., she's getting told by a man. Can't she just fucking discover who she is by herself, or no? That's only from a feminist point of view though, and if you don't care about politics, you'll probably enjoy this either way. And for that discourse, I gave it 3 stars. And the last book I got round to in June ticked off 2 of the boxes, and that is Read Something Ring on the Cover and Read Something that you've wanted to read for a very long time, and that is Hunted by Megan Spooner. This is basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Either whose dad loses his fortune in the family. Because of losing his fortune, he kind of loses his mind and gets lost in the woods looking for the town's beast. Eva sets out to go and find him in the forest without really knowing where he is, to try and retrieve her father, who has lost his fortune and has lost his mental stability. Obviously, she meets the beast, as it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and she gets captured by him, lives in his castle, and she has to try and break his spell. It's a lot like Beauty and the Beast, and I really don't remember this book very well, but I know that I really liked it and I gave it like a 4 stars, but I genuinely don't remember what happened in this book like at all. But I know that I did really enjoy it and it was very different to other retellings that I've normally read. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of June. There were 8 of them and I'm all on my bed now, so I really can't bother to go and get them. If I wrap up, please give it a massive thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I do upload on this channel whenever I really like, wherever I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time for all of my videos. Bye!
I wanna watch them fly and fly and see them soar up into the unknown. But I feel just like a nerd watching birds, watching me here.